Hi guys, today we're going to be drawing some still life drawings, some observational drawings, and they're going to be of dinosaurs. So we have a few little dinosaur toys that we're going to be looking at. So to make an observational drawing, you really have to look at what you see and then try to draw it as best as you can to look exactly as you see it. Not only in the drawings, but in the colors that you're using on those drawings. The most important thing when you are drawing by observation is to really look at what you see. Some dinosaurs have lots of teeth and open mouths. Some have spikes. Some do not. Have long tails. Some of them are standing up on 2 feet while others have 4. So it's very important to be watching what you're drawing so that you're ready whenever it's time to start drawing it. So the first thing I want to point out is depending on what dinosaur you get today, if your dinosaur is standing tall, like this one, you want your paper to be portrait. That means up and down. If your dinosaur is on 4 legs or is longer, then you're going to want your drawing to be landscape, which means side to side. So I'm going to go ahead and move these out the way. I just wanted to give you some examples of some ones that we've done in the past. When you're looking at the dinosaur in front of you, make sure that you're only drawing what you see. So if you only see the 2 feet in front, then you're only going to draw the 2 feet. So we're going to talk more about that later, but I'm going to go ahead and pull these out of the way. I have all of my students on the back of our artwork. We always write their name at the top, followed by their grade level. So if you would be in 2nd grade, you would write a number 2. And then underneath that number, you would write your teacher's homeroom name. So whoever your homeroom teacher is, that would go underneath that. Just in case this gets lost or put in the wrong folder, I can look on the back and see who it belongs to, what grade they're in, and which teacher I need to bring this to. After you write your information on the back, we're going to flip our paper over. Depending on what kind of dinosaur you have, this one could kind of go either way, but I'm going to do a landscape because he seems a little bit longer. So make sure you turn your paper the right way for your dino. The first thing I'm going to start with is the face. Now the face makes a triangular shape, so I'm going to go ahead and on this side, I'm just going to draw out a small triangle. Now I'm trying to draw lightly. I'm going to draw dark so that you guys can see it on this video, but usually you would draw these parts very lightly so that it'll be easy to erase later. Another part I want to look at is the shape of the body. So what I usually do for the shape of the body is a round oval. So I'm going to draw the middle part. And then lastly, I've got a tail. Now the tail kind of curls up a little bit, but it reminds me a lot of a triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and make this triangle shape here. Notice, because I'm drawing by observation, it is wider right here than it is at the very end of my tail. So I'm going to make it wider closer to the body and smaller closer to the end. Okay, let's look at our legs. So just by observing my dinosaur and tilting it around and kind of looking at it, I can tell you that my back legs are a lot thicker. My front arms are a lot smaller. Now those legs have to be very powerful because dinosaurs were very strong and very large and they weighed a lot. So when I'm drawing this leg right here, I want to draw all of this as well. So anytime you're drawing and you're trying to practice scale and proportion, you want to make sure that your drawing matches the rest of your body. So proportion and scale is the size of all the different parts of your drawing and how they relate as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my leg. Now, I'm going to pick out the joints. So like the joint here, the knee joint, and then the ankle bone. Now the hind leg is probably the biggest, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a large circle for the hind leg. Then this little knee joint right here, it's pretty fairly close to where the body is. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And then the ankle bone, smaller, and the foot. Now the foot, if I look at it from above, is a triangle. But since I'm still looking at it from the perspective of side by side, I'm just going to go ahead and draw out this shape to show that it's going to be the foot. Now that I've got the joints drawn out, I'm just going to go ahead and come on the side of them And then that will be the foot, and we can add details later, but this is what we're going for. I'm gonna go on to the arms. So the arms are a little bit smaller. You can notice by moving it around, the arms are a little skinnier because they don't have to hold up all of that weight. So I'm gonna make it here, elbow here, and then the arms for me are pointing down. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this. And I can always fill these in later. All right, now we get to connect all of our shapes together. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this down, connecting to the tail. Bring this down, connecting to the tail. Now, this is the important part. We're gonna start looking for things that maybe we missed in the beginning, a little bit more details. Some dinosaurs have spikes and scales on the back, so we're gonna look for these, and we're also gonna have to draw these. So if I'm drawing by observation, I know that these are gonna go right behind my head, and if this is my head, go ahead and make a bump for where his eyes are gonna go. So let me erase the parts of this drawing that I don't want anymore. Those were just my sketches. I drew it really dark for you guys to see, so it's gonna be really hard for me to get rid of all of those extra lines because I drew them so dark. So you wanna keep in mind, the lighter you draw, the easier it will be to erase later when you're ready. It looks now that my drawing kind of flows into each other. Now because I'm at an angle and I'm looking at my piece, I don't always have to draw the back legs because they're technically behind. Now since this one goes a little further back, I'm just gonna kind of draw out that back leg. So the back leg, this front leg should be overlapping it. So the back leg should be behind it. And if I wanted to draw the arm, I'm just gonna do a little sloppy one in the back because it's not really that important. You don't see it as much as you see the front one. And once again, the front arm is overlapping the back arm. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the face. So I'm gonna draw his eye right here and his mouth. Now his mouth is really skinny at the top. He's got lots of teeth. I'm drawing by observation, so I'm just kind of drawing as much as I can. Now, I can actually see this round part of his head, so I'm gonna keep that in, but I am gonna erase this line. That doesn't need to be there anymore. You guys are gonna be drawing a lot softer. Make those teeth come out a little by drawing a zigzag line. We talked about different types of lines last week. Now, for the spikes, these are the important little details we can't forget. The spikes are gonna go right here. And make sure you're looking at the size. Now, these are all different sizes. Some of them are kind of clumpy, and just try to get it as perfect or as close as you can. So there are my spikes here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start with these. Now, these go in kind of a rainbow shape to start off. So I'm gonna go ahead and they're smaller in the front, larger in the back, and they end right before the tail begins. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop them right here. If you look really closely, the last part of our drawing by observation is to check for different textures, things that we may have missed in the beginning. If you look closely here, these are actually divided. So I'm gonna go ahead and all right, and all of this texture, any of these like bumps, we can kind of draw in some of those as circles, or if you want to just kind of make some little V's to show that there's texture, or some lines under the belly. Anything that you see, if you think it deserves to be drawn, go ahead and draw it. Most dinosaurs had scales, some of them had feathers, some of them had wings, so any type of texture you would like to add to your drawing is going to make it look more detailed, which always makes your drawing look more interesting. So now I'm just looking for final little touches to add. All right, so that's the first part. That's drawing by observation. Now we're getting to the painting part. This is my watercolor Crayola painting pack. Anytime you have it, you want to make sure that after you use it, if there's lots of water in it, you want to leave it open. So make sure it opens enough to dry before closing that lid. Otherwise, the colors can start to mold, so make sure you let it dry out before you continue using it. We're still observational, we're still looking at a still life, it's not going anywhere, so we want to look at the colors that we need for today. The bottom of my dinosaur is mostly red and orange, and the top of my dinosaur is mostly green. And inside the mouth, I also have some red. So I'm going to put this back down, and I'm going to start with the lightest color, which for me today is my red. I might actually start with just orange at the bottom, just to get a really fun diversity of color. So since these are watercolors, they're washable watercolors, we are going to wear our aprons today, so make sure that you pull your apron tight so that it doesn't get any paint on your clothes. We have to add water in order for these to work. So right now, this is dry. This is not going to get on my hand. It needs to be activated with water. Now, a lot of my kids, when we have water and we have paint, we like to tap it against here to get the water off. Now that's problematic because if you start tapping it and you hear this sound, you're going to get water all over the person that's sitting across from you and possibly on their artwork, and we do not want to mess up their artwork. So what we do is we wipe it a little X on dirty old SpongeBob. I'm going to go ahead and get this water. Now I'm going to speed up this process, so I'm going to be painting a little bit quicker. I'll go ahead and look for the colors that I need. So I've got this orange that I'm going to put on the bottom because I am painting by observation. So I'm looking at what colors I see, where they are, and trying to replicate that. So I'm going to go in with the orange color first and put it on the bottom just like I'm observing. And then I'm going to get my next color. When I want to grab my next color, make sure to wash off your brush first. Wipe it on dirty old SpongeBob because you don't want your colors to mix together in your palette. Now, do you see how I'm booty scooting around with my paintbrush? This is bad. We do not want to see paint bristles that look like that. My paintbrush needs to be taken care of, so you want to make sure that you keep your ballerina paintbrush on her tippy toes. Now that I've washed off my color, I'm going to go ahead and activate my red. And I chose red because red is close to orange, and because these are watercolors, they will mix together by simply just adding water to them. So I'm coloring and painting on top of them, but do you already notice how the orange and the red are mixing together on their own? I barely have to do anything. I'll wash my paintbrush off, activate my green, and add my next color. My next color is going to be green. Now my Crayola colors are a little bit brighter than what I see on my dinosaur, but that's okay because we can always add some gray or some deeper colors for our shadows. They're not the exact same, but try to keep them as close to your dinosaur as possible since we are painting by observation. The more water you add, the lighter your color is going to be. The more paint you add, the more vibrant your color is going to be. Sometimes I don't even add paint, I will just add water to help those things mix together. Now, I think my dinosaur is done. So if we have any extra time in class, we can go ahead and add a background. So I'm going to use my pencil just to draw out this little volcano to show you, even though we do not have gray on our palette, the more water you add, the lighter your black is going to be. And the lighter color of black is gray. This kind of looks a little brown, so the colors are a little different. But the more water you use, the lighter color you will get. If you use more water for red, you'll get a little bit of a pink color. So you can go ahead and add all kinds of different things to your background, and when you're done, you're going to carry it like a pizza with your 2 hands to the drying rack so that it can dry for tomorrow. Thanks for joining. I've hoped you enjoyed it. I did this with kindergarten through 3rd grade.